I said, you'll never believe I spent a half an hour looking for the bloody sugar. Sugar. Soca. Well, hello everybody and welcome into this Monday's MB podcast. I am Jonathan C. Walsh. The C stands for Christopher, incidentally, and the Sunday name's Peter. Just in case you're under any illusions about what background I'm from. I mean, there's no surprise there, is there? Joining me to my left is Stephen John McLaughlin. Stephen John Christopher McLaughlin, so there'll be no surprises about what Stephen's background is either, just in case you're... I mean, we've always, Stephen alluded to the fact there's another podcast from around these ways that bats from a different sort of side of the field, and we suggested maybe stole our theme tune. So, don't fuck yourself. But no, Stephen, we're going to be discussing Les Beatles and the upcoming anthology and the just repackaging, the re-release of the iconic documentary from 30 years ago. Stephen, it's getting closer and closer. We're about a month away. We're buzzing for it. Yeah. And we're going to just speak about it. What more do I have to say here, guys? We're going to speak about it. Let's talk about it. So we've got a sort of structure here, Stephen. I'm going to try and adhere to it somewhat, just so there's a little bit of order instead of the chaotic nonsense that's normally associated with our live stuff. Also, Stephen, we've got a whole host of things coming out. Rare footage, we've got a whole new episode getting tacked on a sort of video medium, where I believe it's going to focus on the re-record or the recording sessions of the 3 tracks Now and Then, Real Love, Free's a Bird, and also the 3 remaining living Beatles members, and probably Jeff Lynne, I'd imagine, as well, going through the sort of process. So we're going to get that tacked on. So really looking forward to that. We've got obviously a whole host of other stuff, legacy stuff happening in terms of the original anthology audio, maybe getting rejigged with Giles Martin's magic. New tracks, Stephen. There's new stuff dropping all the time. I get notifications from Apple Music, Spotify, tell me new content from the Beatles has dropped. I looked at it, Stephen, but a few months ago, and there's not much left. We're talking 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 tracks, including Real Love. Yeah. Out of 36. So we've got very much a minority of stuff still left to drop. But I'm glad they're holding some of it back. Some of it's really interesting. But the first take of In My Life, never heard that before, because it's brand new. Yeah. You fucking clown, John. It'll be really intriguing. That's one of my favourite Lennon songs. First time he kind of looked introspectively at his life in a sort of obvious manner. I think he was always looking at his life, unlike McCartney, who was making up nonsensical fucking granny characters like Eleanor Rigby. Lennon was always very much personable and literally singing, "Help, I'm feeling down here, guys, can you fucking help me? I'm eating 15 steaks a day, I'm getting fat." So, but I mean, that's the first proper version, Stephen, so it'll be intriguing to hear that. What is your mindset, Stephen, just now? I mean, we're about just under a month, aren't we? About a month away. I want to say, when does this come out? I actually need to get the raw details. Anthology 4 release dates.
I think it's about 3-4 weeks away, John.
Yeah, the 21st of November.
Yeah, it comes to Disney Plus. I mean, and
that's
listen, John, I've not watched the anthology since, it's been a good decade, I would say, maybe even more. You and I obviously had the DVDs when they first came out, 20 years ago, and before that the VHS tapes, and it's a series I've always enjoyed, and particularly in the sort of mid to late 90s, I absolutely hammered those VHS tapes, and so fascinated with the commentary from the 4 guys, because before that there wasn't anything in terms of official stories and hearing these stories from the actual people that lived them. It was always Alan Owens and a manager that they might have had before they became famous.
Weird blonde-haired, pointy nose fucker, sycophant that was hanging around with Lennon in New York in the 70s and 80s. I'm
I'll
talking
not,
about.
yeah, I'll not have a bad word said about him. He liked
You're
one of my
free.
comments.
You used to say those comments. Now
Yeah,
you're,
we're talking about mints, aren't we?
yeah. Elliot.
John, but Elliot, yeah. But
Elliot
in
Mintz.
terms of the this whole celebration of the Beatles and the way it was packaged back in the 1990s, I'm glad they're not altering anything. In terms of the narrative, it's how you saw it in the 90s. Although it's going to look glossy, it's going to look amazing, it's going to sound amazing because obviously they've remastered all this. And I'm looking forward to Anthology 4, obviously the album that is, to see some of these tracks, like you said, in my life. Some of them, and I don't know if it's just the way that Spotify have presented them, if you get into that particular album, some of these tracks can actually be, or these takes can be picked up on the Giles Martin reissues that have been coming over the last few years as well. So I don't know if that's a thing or
Yeah, I need
not.
to check that.
That's disappointing. For the price of that, it should be all brand new. How can it be brand new? It's like 60 odd years ago, but you know what I mean?
Some of
Never
it's.
released stuff.
Well,
But
still not.
it
He's
is.
still not remastered Rubber Soul, to be fair, which is annoying because I think
That's
that.
why probably In My Life is
Yeah.
on this.
Yeah.
Because and that will be brand new information to us. But particularly, I'm looking forward to the remix of Real Love. I think both you and I, in terms of those comeback singles, that is the best of the three, John.
Stephen, yeah, I mean, I spoke about that the other day, didn't we?
Yeah.
Three of them are great songs. Obviously,
the remaster 2025, that is from last month. Did it come out or the month before? Sounds great. Yeah. It really does sound fantastic. I really love what they've done with the guitar work, Lennon's voice, and Ringo's drumming.
And just the fact, Stephen, that they've removed Macca's vocals, sort of fattening
they
vocals.
Good,
they were good,
but
obviously not necessary in that version. And you've still got that original version if you want to go back and listen to it. And I know a lot of people like the original release because it almost sounds ghostly. Like Lennon's out of body singing. And obviously in a sort of fucking weird way that matches because he's obviously no longer with us and he wasn't back then either. But it just changes the whole experience, Stephen, when you've got sort of proper studio quality Lennon vocals and then those other guys about him. Because that's the way it would have been recorded. The Beatles did not do backing vocals for the other vocalists. They'd done backing vocals for themselves. They would fatten their own voices up. But Macca wasn't going in and doubling up Lennon's vocal. That just didn't fucking happen. So it makes sense when you're remastering it to do it that way. But Stephen, also we were talking about Real Love, and for me, says it time and again, Freeze a Bird's a phenomenal song, just what it visualises in the video, and it goes back and it's going through all their lives, and obviously Lennon's life in particular. Really powerful song. Now and Then's a great song, and obviously the message they conveyed in the video with the two remaining Beatles and the ones that have passed away, and it's now and then they're looking back sort of forlornly at their past. That's great as well. But for me, real and love, guys. Peace and love, everybody. Real and love, everybody. Peace and love. Real love is the best for me.
Yeah.
It's the one that sounds like a natural Beatles song. I've always thought that listening to it. The other two, great songs, but they sound like Lennon vocals with Beatles things tacked on. Whereas Real Love feels like it could have been made in the 80s, in the 70s, with the Beatles in a studio together, working together, the way it flows, the instrumental stuff, the vocals, it's just natural. And that's what worries me, Stephen, when you start dabbling, like I said, what they did with Freeze a Bird, with backing vocals, removing little things. Yeah, it was probably more authentic, but you maybe lose that what makes that song so special. I don't know if there's as much backing vocals in Real Love. I know you do isolated vocals and stuff like that. You probably know more than me, Stephen, with that. It's such a brilliant tune, melodically, the way it flows, the way the vocals all work together and weave, the little arpeggiated guitar stuff, the slide guitar stuff.
John,
start
one of the things that I admire about Paul, George and Ringo going back and doing these tracks is that I suppose with all Beatles tracks, they go all in with them. They could have went in there and just went, all we really need to do is mask that piano locked into John's voice, and that's all we need to do. But you go in and look at these isolated tracks, and the harmonies are phenomenal, John. They really put their heart and soul into them, as you know, you've heard some of them, you know, and particularly Paul and George, just that blend between both their voices is phenomenal. It's a real force, and that's what I'm looking forward to hearing on the Real Love track. I know we get a wee sort of clip of that on one of the promo things for the Anthology package, but obviously Paul and George are narrating over the top of it, so you couldn't really hear it. But it sounds really good. It sounds really good. I like the way what they've done with John's voice as well. I think they've slowed it down a little bit as well, which is good, because it always was like a chipmonkey.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal song, John. I like the demos. I like John with the demos. Sometimes I back into YouTube just listen to them having the piano, and that's all I need to know. And obviously the live version on the acoustic.
Yeah.
Another fantastic rendition of the song.
And
But just the evolution of that song over 50 years has been fantastic. Freezer Bird as well, you know, but for me, Real Love's the one that does sound like a Beatles song. The other thing, John, that I'm looking forward to in terms of how Disney are packaging this up for the streaming service. You might remember this better than myself, John. When Get Back came out, did they release all the episodes, the 3 episodes at once, or did they stagger them? I can't remember.
I think they were all at once. Yeah, I think they were. Yeah. Yeah, I think they released them all together.
That's probably what we'll do with Anthology then.
Which is, well, I mean, with I suppose, but with Anthology, obviously, most people, I say most, I'm speaking like most people are massive Beatles fans. There's a huge audience of people out there who are maybe aware of the Beatles and their bigger hits, but maybe not as big a fan. And obviously it will be a new experience watching the documentary, which is why this is so important, Stephen. 30 years on, a new audience can be captivated by the story, where they came from, how they got together, how the magic happened, and just telling the story from the actual protagonists themselves. That's something that's important, that gets reimagined, remastered for a modern audience, just to keep the story going. I mean, I don't think the Beatles will ever disappear. They're a generational band, but it's important that you keep retelling.
John. It's why it's important that this is coming out at this moment. You know, it's for a new generation, and it's a good way to introduce them to the band. If you're not really sure, you know, perhaps maybe the back catalogue is a bit overwhelming for anyone. You know, like us with comic books, where they start. They start at the beginning, I suppose. But you know, the Beatles are a very unique case in terms of their evolution. You know, from the Please Please Me album right up to Abbey Road, just that evolution of music and style and just everything about them just changed with every album, every year.
Well, Stephen, George is the classic one for me.
Yeah,
he's the one I always look at because I love playing the guitar, playing it more now than I ever did. And just watching how that guy evolved as a guitarist. I was playing Till There Was You last night, trying to do the solo work from the live version. And I'm thinking, even back then, that's clunky George.
Yeah.
Clunky George. You know, the overrated guitarist, these mental fucking Spanish, like Randalls on YouTube, calling them overrated. Clowns. Haven't got a clue what they're fucking talking about, man. Even clunky George was magnificent at times, man. It's hard to forget he was very young. He was about 20 or something. I'm trying to think, Till There Was You would have been about 64. 63, 64. Yeah, so he'd have been about 22. Very, very young. And he's in the middle of this storm, fame, stardom, and he's just rattling out a perfect fucking solo.
You make a good point there, because, you know, we watched that clip, I think it was on Saturday night when we were doing our trailer reactions, and we watched that For You Blue clip. George is about 28 there or something. And he's got acne in his face. He's got acne. It shows you how young, you know, and sometimes I think people do forget how young the 4 of them were. I don't think any of them were by the age of 29 by the time the Beatles split up. Which is phenomenal as well.
It shows you how precocious they were in terms of talent.
Yeah.
And how impressive it was that they were restructuring music and whatnot like they were. But there was Stephen George in particular. I love to watch that guy evolving, how slick he is at the end. And all he can speak about in the Get Back stuff is Clapton this, Clapton that. I understand Clapton's a great guitarist, but George, I just wish George someday, I mean, I think Lennon did do it at one point, says, look, you're a Beatle. Clapton ain't a Beatle, mate. Clapton was in Cream. Cream were good, but they're not the fucking Beatles. You're the guitarist in the Beatles. Stop talking about Eric fucking Clapton. You're on his level, mate. Behave. But no, Stephen, obviously, like we said, really significant this coming out in terms of what it's going to do for modern audiences, but existing fans as well, Stephen. I've not seen this in years, man. It's been a good decade since I watched the Anthology documentary, so elements of this will be fresh to me, even though I still go back and watch like Kansas City, Hey Hey Hey, and that's taken straight from the Anthology. I watch little snippets out of it. It's going to be great to get back and relive this. For me, Stephen, this is one of the greatest, I think it's the greatest music documentary, sort of band biographical sort of documentary ever released. I can't think of any that's better. We've seen Scorsese dabble with it, with the Stones, and obviously with Harrison as well, with Bob Dylan. They're great documentaries, but that's a third party that's taking on the story and sort of dissecting it. Like you said previously, really unique this, because you've got the actual parties that were involved and the side players who were influential.
You know what I like? Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the things I do like about this documentary is, although John at that point was 15 years dead, it doesn't feel in terms of the narrative that he was gone. You know, the way they've sort of sected his narrative to certain points in the story is really well put together. It's well edited, you know, and it's one of the things I'm really looking forward to seeing on this remastered documentary is Lennon's audio, because there's a bit in the promotion where he's talking about, I think it might be Strawberry Fields, and he's saying, I'm just trying to make it sound like a conversation. And I've never heard this line before from Lennon in anything like that. And I'm like, that sounds like that was recorded yesterday.
Yeah.
They cleaned up, you know, the audio.
Is that the actual song he's talking about? Strawberry Fields.
I think he's talking about Strawberry Fields forever, yeah.
See, when you think about it, he's actually right. Because when he's singing, he does sound like he's talking. Strawberry Fields forever. He is talking. Living is easy when with eyes closed. Misunderstanding all you see. He is talking. That's one thing I loved about Lennon, even in Instant Karma.
Yeah.
He'd do that brilliantly. He'd go from talking to really raucous vocals. He could do that really, really well.
The other thing I'm looking forward to in the documentary side of things is the Threatles stuff that we saw little glimpses in the Now and Then documentary, the 10-minute documentary. It's on YouTube, where George and Paul and Ringo are standing outside the Windmill Studios,
Ferrari,
Paul's studios.
Oh no, it's different.
And they're talking about Jeff Lynne's computer, you know, and it just looks so crisp and cleaned up, you know, and you're thinking that's 30 years ago and it just looks brand new, you know. So I'm looking forward to all that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm looking forward to all that behind the scenes stuff, how they put Fraser Bird and Real Love together, because you do get that sort of sense, you know, that it would have been an exhausting session doing that, especially for Now and Then. You know, I think that's why they kiboshed it in the end. I think it just wasn't up to the standard. But I'm looking forward to all that as well, because I love all that stuff. You know, when you watch the Real Love video, the music video that came out, you get little glimpses of that. George sort of smuggling in a kettle, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, and just...
I just love the stuff in the garden, Stephen, with him playing the ukulele. Just that vibe. Yeah. George had it sussed. I understand Mac is a workaholic, he loves to go out and tour, and he did that with, obviously, Wings and On His Lonesome, and he's still touring to this day. George kind of just receded back into his lifestyle, into his garden. He was into his gardening, a bit of a horticulturalist, wasn't he? So he had that sort of idyllic lifestyle. I can resonate with that. I mean, I'm 36, I'm not an old man by any stretch, but sometimes I do think, you know what, in 40 years or something, 50 years, if I'm still here, I'd love to be sitting in a garden reading a bit of fucking Tolkien or something, just chilling with a coffee.
Yeah.
That was George.
Or a Heineken. I think that was George's. I think that was his fancy, wasn't his tipple. You know, there's that story of Jeff Lynne. You know, when they were doing the Cloud9 album in '87. You know, that he went to meet George for the first time, and George took him out in his boat in his garden. You know, he'd got a sort of lake thing going on, and you know, just that whole sort of that lifestyle, you know, and as you said, you know, just you're spending so much time in nature, and you know, it's such a contrast to his earlier life, you know, just that whirlwind nature of Beatlemania and what came after it as well.
I mean, that's the beauty of doing it when you're young. They were in their teens, they'd travelled the world in their 20s. They'd experienced Manila, United States, Japan, Australia. They'd been everywhere. India. You could just recede into that and have a quieter life. And Lennon did that to an extent as well.
It had that impact on George Lowe, didn't it? It changed his mindset, how you live your life.
Yeah, I think the whole transcendental stuff, or transcendent, that is the word, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he was brought up Catholic, but obviously, you know, he found solace in obviously, you know,
meditation.
Yeah, meditation.
So what do you call it again? There's a name for it.
Hinduism.
Yeah, Hinduism, but there's a name for it, isn't there? Where you just keep repeating the same thing again and again. A mantra.
A
kind of mantra.
You're talking. You get any mantras? You know, just it's little stories like that crack me up. You know, I need a mantra. Yeah. Where do I get one? I don't go to Harrods and get one. Do I? You know, it's things. George is a very funny guy.
Oh, he was, Steve. He was great.
That's what I'm looking forward to watching again. Anthology, all these little stories. Paul McCartney as well. You know, he's not the most funniest guy in terms of out the four of them, but when he's talking about Ringo having it was a Zephyr Zodiac or something like that car, and he said he had this before anyone else could have it. Probably fell off the back of a showroom. Just little lines like that.
The white streak in the hair, all those little details that they go into. Obviously, he was wearing his hair back. And they had to deal with that. And Stephen, that's all the little great details. Epstein and obviously him telling them, look, you have to wear suits, you have to clean up, the leathers have to go. The stuff with obviously a man, I'm blanking on his name, which is fucking terrible. Klaus Verman.
Yeah, Klaus. Yeah.
And the artist, as I like to say, artiste, not artist. Artiste, the German artist who came up with obviously the hairstyles. I think she was a hairdresser as well. What's her name again?
Astrid. Yeah.
Astrid, yeah. Just those little details. Yeah. I'm sure George was sniffing around, as we know he was a bit of a boy. I mean, he was. That's an absolute fact. It blew my mind. The quiet Beatle, that's a bad joke. Mike says, my opinion, every Beatle at any time was perfection. The closest for me is Jeff Lynne. Jeff's fucking great, Mike. Really, really good. One of my regrets is not getting to see him live. Sadly, Jeff was charging about £250 for a fucking ticket. Now, I understand he's bringing a full orchestra, but I've been to see Andre Rieu numerous times. He's bringing a full orchestra as well. He's also bringing the Stradivarius fucking violin, which was about 900 years old and priceless. He doesn't charge that. Actually, he fucking does. I'm talking shit. He charges about £130 for a ticket, so that's not cheap either.
Nice.
So I kind of regret not getting to see Jeff. I do like ELO. I like his vocals. He's a great guy as well. He's a good Brummie guy. Good salt of the earth walking class.
You know, when you go into the comment section, if you're watching Real Love or Freeze a Bird or whatever, you know, in comment section, this just reeks of ELO. This is just Jeff Lynne. What's wrong with that? You know what I mean? What is so wrong with that?
You do realise that if the Beatles guys...
about those two singles in the anthology says this is what the Beatles sound like now, this is what they would sound like.
Exactly, I was about to say, Steve, the Beatles were a band of their time, 60s.
Yeah.
If they were to still been around through the 70s, 80s, 90s into the modern time, it's quite impressive. My dog's outside the room and his flatulence is still coming into the room. That's really fucking impressive. Like that's a remarkable skill set that he possesses. His arse is that potent that it's coming through the door and I'm still getting assaulted. As I was saying before, my dog's fart rudely interrupted my train of fucking thought. Jesus, I've got to run. My nose is blocked and I can still smell it. They would have sounded totally different, Stephen, by the 90s. They would have sounded like that. They'd have collaborated with guys like Jeff Lynne and other sort of producers and musical figures. Their sound would have changed. They wouldn't have sounded like Revolver in 1994. You fucking idiots. So I don't get that. It's obviously going to sound like Jeff Lynne. Jeff Lynne's fingerprints are all over it.
John is glad they stopped when they did. I kind of dread to think what would have came, you know, afterwards.
Well, the Rolling Stones, I'll show you what would have came. You bring in Mick Taylor and it's truly great. And then you bring in Ronnie Wood and it's fine. And then it just gets progressively worse as they get older and older and don't admit to themselves that they're done. That's what happens. And now you've got Keith, who I love, but he's got arthritis and can barely hold the guitar, and they're still dragging themselves out onto the stage. Ronnie just looks like Ronnie from 40 years ago. I mean, I watched Wild Horses live in like 74. Fucking walking the same now as he did back then. And by the way, I'm not shitting on Ronnie Wood, because people love to shit on Ronnie Wood and say, yeah, he's not Mick Taylor. Yeah, I know he's not, he's Ronnie Wood. What are you trying to say? He can't play the guitar? I bet every penny I have, you can't play the guitar half as good as Ronnie fucking Wood can. You clown shoe. This narrative that you can't play the guitar, it's fucking nonsense. Just like the George Harrison haters. Clowns, these people. Get a little lamp in their fucking room and think they're Jeff Beck. You're not.
Yeah.
Anyway, Stephen, the actual Disney Plus stuff though, like you said, the Frito stuff's the thing that I'm intrigued by. Because obviously we've seen it, it's been a while, but we've still seen the other stuff. I just am intrigued how long they're going to linger. I think it was about 40 minutes to 50 minutes long, each episode, wasn't it? Do you think that'll be the running time?
I think they're under an hour of it. They weren't any longer than that, John.
Do you think that'll be the running time for this episode 4? And obviously just how into the story will they go, because we've spoke before, Stephen, obviously. Macca and Harrison hadn't spoke for a long time. You've got interviews from the sort of late 80s where Harrison's openly taking the piss out of Macca about remastering John Lennon songs. He's like, what, has he ran out of his own songs? Things like that.
Oh,
they weren't close at the time.
Now we've got that on record. Well, it's the truth.
It's the truth. It was the truth. But they weren't close by the time they'd bumped into each other. So I'd hope they would show hints of that and don't make it all rosy. That it is a little bit cold at first and then they warm into each other again.
I mean, it's one thing I like about Paul and George is they don't try and pretend. You know, it's you can see there's moments the
bass.
George Martin's tried to establish who's playing bass and who's playing piano, and George Harrison's insisting it's Paul. He's doing both. He's like, you can't do them at the same time. He's like, well, he was keen, you know, and just Paul's reaction to that says it all. You know, he wasn't happy.
No, he wasn't. But George was very cutting. That's why I love him. Because I'm quite cutting at times, and I get told I'm a cold, arrogant sod, and I'm not. Just very sharp at times. Other times I'm not. But no, I'm looking forward to that, Steve. I'm looking forward to seeing that relationship getting re-established. Also, them getting in the studio and making magic happen, because it does happen. Ringo, we sort of, they call those stick things that are almost like whips. You know what I'm talking about? Little whippy drumsticks. There's a name for them. It's not a whip, but it gives that softer touch. Really looking forward to seeing all that stuff, which we've not seen, and how they compose it, because that should be the main focal point, bringing these songs together, bringing the Beatles back again from extinction. Yeah. And obviously, Steve, we've kind of touched on how that's going to bring younger audiences back in. For me, the Beatles are just omnipotent, man. They're always going to be there. They're there and they're always there.
Yeah. Structurally, John, in terms of the documentary, it's a well-paced, you know, documentary. I think the way it had to be formatted was obviously through episodes rather than doing some feature film. You know, we talk about this all the time with Star Wars and such like. You know, the best way to tell, you know, a grand story is through an episodic sort of structure. And they were doing this in the 1990s, and it was the only way they could really do it. They couldn't do this over 2 hours. This had to be something that, you know, really captured each year of the Beatles, you know, existence. And I think they did it really well. I mean, you have to be a Beatles fan really to stick with it, because, you know, you're going back to when Ringo was born. That's how far back you're going, you know, and it's from that moment there right through the war, through the 1950s to that infamous meeting between John and Paul in 1957 and so on, right up to the breakup. And probably if I had any criticisms, they kind of glossed over the breakup a little bit, I think. You know, and I get that. I think there's still things going on in 1995 that they probably couldn't speak about. I don't really want them to do that now, though, because George isn't here to defend himself. John's not here to defend himself. So I'm glad they're not altering what already exists through the documentary.
That was a concern, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because Macca has been on a bit of a crusade in the last couple of years in terms of rewriting history about who wrote this and who wrote that. I had a lot of inspiration in this song. I came up with a verse. Did you?
Yeah.
Did you, aye? As we like to say in Scotland. Well, that's strange, Macca, because you never mentioned that fucking 30 years ago. Don't recall John saying anything about that. I know John said he was involved in things, but mate, we've got Bibles online. There's historians and experts on the band. They know everything, mate.
Yeah.
Stop talking shite. Thankfully, he's not going to get to do that. The story is told, and what they're focusing on is also the Beatles, as we like to call them. Stephen, am I right in saying it was 2? It's been a while. Obviously, there's now 4. There was 3 episodes, but it was 2 video episodes per. So Anthology 1 had 2, part 1, 2, that had 1, 2, and then at 2, 2, 2, there was 8. Or was there 8? How many fucking...
I think on the VHS it was 8. I think on the DVD it was 4.
Yeah.
4 plus a bonus disc.
Yeah.
I think it was on the VHS it was episodes 1 and 2. I think it was 8 episodes on the VHS. And on DVD it was 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. I can't remember. It's something like that.
I think maybe 6.
I've not seen the DVDs in a while, John. So
I think it was. I think it was 6 with a bonus.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how many extra sort of video parts we're going to get. What, be 1 or 2?
I don't know if it's the algorithm or not, but I don't know if you've seen George Harrison standing in Abbey Road from 1995 talking about the anthology.
No,
it's a clip I never saw, and it's really interesting. And I was watching one today as well. It was Paul McCartney around about 93, 94, and he was being asked about his relationship with George and this upcoming Long and Winding Road documentary, as it was called at this point.
Thank God to get rid of that.
Consideration of doing some incidental music, the 3 of them. I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they didn't go down that road. I'm glad they did what they did. It had to be the 4 of them. But it's interesting how these things are cropping up on the algorithm now. I don't know if any of that stuff will be included because it's not really official Beatles videos, if you know what I mean. It's interviews for other sort of productions. This is the thing I love about the Beatles Anthology. Apart from obviously the 4 guys, it's the closest inner circle you're going to get with Neil Aspinall, Derek Taylor, and George Martin. Brian Epstein through obviously audio as well, but you don't get anyone else talking, about them, which is, I think, it's just fine the way it's done. I think Neil Aspinall deserves tremendous credit for compiling this together, in the early 70s and keeping it there, and really holding the whole Apple thing together as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, if it
was
wasn't
just a roadie, John. It was just the guy that drove the car, for so long.
Yeah, but Steve,
he had to develop a business sense.
That was the importance, obviously, the sort of periphery figures in the Beatles. Mal Evans and guys like that, they were just simple sort of like roadies and whatnot in the early days, but it became more than that. Obviously, as it progressed and they set up businesses, they became multitaskers. So it's just a shame, Steve, I've not got Mal giving any input, because what a fucking presence he was throughout. But also, we did get that novel. I've never read that. I need to read that. I don't know if it's any good. It may be absolute fucking bollocks, to be fair, because Mal's... I don't know how much of a writer he was. Right. Some days his memoirs won't be riveting.
He did everything for the 4 of them, though, didn't he? When you see it in Get Back, he's the one writing down the lyrics for them. And he's doing the hammer for Maxwell Silver Hammer, the anvil. And he's just one of these guys that I think he just loved his job. And who wouldn't? No. I'd love to have had that job.
Yeah, having a little half pint with Paul McCartney in a studio in the middle of the afternoon while he records absolute legendary music. Some of it not so legendary, of course. Maxwell Silver Hammer. The Long and Winding Road. God. Fucking granny music, Paul. Honestly. Stephen, speaking about books, the new book is obviously coming out as well. I've never read it. I know you've owned it. I can't imagine there's going to be much more insight in the
No.
book. I think that'll just be a rebranding.
It's a reprint, John.
Yeah, a reprint.
It's actually titled as a reprint on Amazon, so it's word for word the same.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic book, John. I told you some of the stories that doesn't make it into the actual video documentary. You know, about the LSD trips. You know, with John, Cynthia, George, and Patty coming back from a party and stuff like that, and absolutely tripping out. I was reading this book just in tears of laughter.
I'll need to read it.
Just crazy.
Yeah, I'll need
You
to
know,
read it.
I've got it in my loft, but I think I think the paperback's like £35 or something like that. It's not dear.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, when you
Yeah.
think of just the actual, for a collector, having it all there, then it's worth.
Yeah.
I prefer a hardback myself.
Yeah.
I like that sturdiness.
It's a big book.
And I'm a book guy. I've had this conversation before. People with Kindles and iPads and whatnot. Nothing beats the tactile touch of a fucking dead tree in your hand. Nothing beats it. In every way. A guitar, a book. Trees are so important, guys. We've got to save the trees. But no, Stephen, look, I think there is rationale behind it as well, obviously, keeping those stories going, because there is common sense if you're releasing a remastered version of the video that you obviously rebrand the whole thing in one whole package. In terms of the album as well, Stephen, I mean, the album is what it is. There's not a huge amount of new stuff. It's mostly outtakes and stuff like that. Really what I'm taking away from album 4 is Real Love. That's the big takeaway. Like I said earlier, for me that's the best post-Beatles release.
Yeah.
And that's the big takeaway, just really waiting. Stephen, I kind of searched it up when we were talking previously. I checked to see if Freezer Bird had been released in the charts, because obviously Now and Then did and got to number 1.
Yeah.
Freezer Bird has not been re-released in the charts. Its last chart release was 1996. 16th of December 1995 was the first chart date, and its last chart date was, I don't know, around about then. It would have been 96.
I think because Now and Then was a new release, technically, wasn't it? It hadn't been obviously released as a single at any point to the public, you know, whereas Freezer Bird and Real Love have, you know.
Oh, but you can re-release them. Don't worry about that. Wham! Last Christmas get released and got number 2 famously, and then they re-released it and it finally got number 1.
I think if they were going to do it, they'd have done it with Freezer Bird though, you know, last month, and they didn't do it. So I can't see it. I wish they would.
I hope they do it with Free Love, because I think it's got a great chance of getting to number 1. I think it's a superior tune to Now and Then. I think it will get to number 1.
I think the whole thing with Now and Then, John, was billed as the last Beatles track. I think that's why it succeeded, you know. And
there was a head of steam with that.
Strong song, John. And I think the fact that Paul removed that middle part of the song as well, which kind of bugs me, because that's probably the best part of the song for me. But I get they've got to package it up like a pop single, haven't they? It's got to be poppy, so. I'm
just seeing the sort of gap in the market, because Swift has released her album and it's shite. Not my words, but the words of the Swifties. They're even admitting that it's shit. Sabrina Carpenter's released her album and it's kind of, I mean, it's still in full flow, but main sort of singles have been out. Sheeran's been out and done it. So all the usual sort of perpetrators who like to dominate the fucking charts in 2025 have kind of got it out their system. So there's a gap there. I can't think anybody else.
Unless the sausage roll people.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I hate them with a fucking passion. Anybody that leaks that bollocks needs fucking lined up against the wall and shot. And not with a single bullet. But good. I mean, the one thing that the Wehrmacht did that was, I mean, it was obviously deplorable in their case because they were shooting good people and innocent people, but the firing squad with submachine guns, I'm not, this is all sort of hypothetical, I'm not actually saying we should bring violence to people, but those fucking clown shoes, oh my god. Bring back the Wehrmacht with the submachine guns out, up against the wall. Blanks, of course, blanks, just to put the shit up them.
This is like an episode of Alan Partridge chat show, daytime show.
Oh, they're awful. Honestly, awful. An awful. I mean, they get number one, Christmas number one, I think 3 years in a row here. And we talk about America. Mike, if you're still here, mate, people in the United Kingdom cannot say anything about the United States. Not a fucking thing. Because we are infinitesimally worse at times. What else have we...
Danny Marlin might be bringing out another Christmas.
Oh, for fuck. Did he bring one out?
He said about 3.
Has he? Oh, for fuck's sake. It's like fucking Chris Martin from Coldplay. What's he doing in a factory in Wigan? It's mental. What is Danny Marlin? A food reviewer, a guy that goes around nondescript shithole takeaways in Britain, reviewing fucking sausage suppers. What is he doing in the charts releasing songs? What the fuck's going on with humanity? It's almost as bad as the imbecilic fucking braindeads who were letting fireworks off at 1 o'clock in the afternoon today. In a good staunch North Lanarkshire fucking town. That's Scotland for you guys. Fireworks at 1 in the afternoon. Stephen, closing thoughts. I mean, a legacy of the Beatles. I mean, the Beatles' legacy is the Beatles' legacy, Stephen. I think they're still widely regarded as the greatest band to ever walk the earth. I don't think that's hyperbolic. I think they are the greatest band to ever walk the earth. I mean, there's been some fucking brilliant bands before, brilliant bands after. There's just something special about the Beatles. Like you hinted at, we didn't hint at it, you fucking said it. The evolution of our music. Other bands have tried it, but to less success. And the fact that they were so young, they came in, hit with a fucking absolute claymore, haymaker, and then rode the wave of the sort of crest of a wave and then get out at the top. No other band has done that. R.E.M., up and down, great band, but even you admit, Stephen, one of the biggest R.E.M. fans out there. They were more wishy-washy than the Beatles.
Music, John, R.E.M. are not the same. You know, that R.E.M. are a consistent, you know, in terms of their music to an extent. You know, but even I would admit, you know, the last few albums were below par for their standards. But you know, they got out when they did, and I do admire them for that. But no, Beatles are a unique situation, John, where, you know, it's not a forced evolution. You've seen it obviously with the likes of Alec Turner and, you know,
the crooner.
That sort of deliberate try to change the style with
Radiohead. I've seen your frown and it's like looking down the barrel of a gun, there it goes off.
I just find what Sean Bean.
Apple panned away, but it's very hard to remember on a day like today when you're argumentative. What?
And I think it's just, they came at a time, John, they came at the right time, the Beatles, in terms of when they were first on the scene to where they ended up. You know, because you've got to remember the likes of Pink Floyd and Zeppelin and that were coming out, you know, that sort of late 60s, early 70s, and people's tastes were changing, you know, and I think the Fab Four must have sensed that as well. You know, it was time to get out because it will become stale if we hang about any longer. You know, because I think, you know, after the White Album, I think the White Album probably had a more I think those sessions were more trouble than the Get Back sessions, to be honest with you, John.
Yeah, I mean, Ringo walked, didn't he?
He walked, George walked. Yeah, I mean...
That was a Savoy Truffle moment, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it? Did they not leave and speak to Clapton? I can't remember. Maybe they were conjuring up a way to swap wives or something, I don't know. But like that, listen, I mean, Stephen, the legacy of the Beatles is... I think that's set in stone. I don't think they're going anywhere. No. Mike says, what did I do? Nothing, mate. Nothing at all. I'm just saying that we are... America's got some crackpottery. It definitely has. Political stuff is just fucking mental. Left and right. Obviously, Tango Man is in power just now. I'm not going to say anything because I don't know what the political sway is of people watching this, but I'm not a huge fan of Donald and his never-ending quest for the Nobel Peace Prize, which he obviously failed to get. That will hurt him tremendously. But there's crackpottery in America, but there's even more over here. I mean, we've got some right fucking lunatics over here as well. I was just kind of hinting at that. I don't know why. I think it was those fucking sausage roll bastards we were talking about. I enjoy the Swedish rock band The Hives. Never heard of them. They kind of sound like a combination of the Ramones and AC/DC with a howling lead vocalist. I need to look them up. I'll copy that just now.
Hives, I've heard of the Hives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AC/DC and the Ramones is a good combination. Sort of howling Marshall 100-watt fucking amp with the punky rock of the Ramones. That would work well.
Yeah. The Hives, I'm trying to remember when they were out. I can't remember, John. But I have heard them.
The Hives, 93 they were active from. They look fucking crazy, by the way. They do look interesting, yeah. I need to have a listen to them. I do like Sverige. It's a great country. It's a great cat. Sweden, by the way, in Swedish, Sverige. Just in case you were wondering what I was fucking talking about. Stephen, closing thoughts. Really just looking forward to it, man. Can't wait. Been counting the weeks down since it got announced, really. It was a nice surprise. We spoke and speculated about this about a year or so ago when they first announced the book was getting released. And we says it'd be great to get a remastering of the actual video stuff and the audio, which Giles is currently working away at. Obviously, he's got other things going on. Obviously, when they announced it, it was a brilliant bit of news. The fact we're getting additional footage and archive interviews and whatnot, and we're getting the Freetle stuff. And then obviously AIs came to the point where we've got brilliant remasters and releases of Freeze a Bird, Real Love Now and Then came out. So there's been a lot of good stuff going on, Stephen, and obviously that, along with the fact that we were kind of looking fondly at Get Back as maybe the final Beatles sort of release to ever happen, because you're like, what, how much more can you do with a band that's been out and gone 50, 60 years? I mean, there's not much more you can release at that point. Obviously they have, and look, I'm fucking open to it. Just keep giving me Beatles content. I'm still waiting for that mid-60s archive stuff.
New. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing new in terms of obviously the documentary for what we've seen. What I'm looking forward to is the technical aspects of how this is going to be presented, you know, because this was obviously made at a time when televisions were square, whatever ratio that is, 4.3, whatever it is.
Yeah, it is.
You know, so it's interesting to see the aspect ratio, how this is going to be presented. It's going to be interesting to see what sound is going to be presented as well. I'm looking at this, and I know that Peter Jackson's been involved in this as well in terms of the restoration, but it's not an old documentary. It's only 30 years old, and it wasn't in a bad nick. But having said that, if you look at the Beatles Anthology on YouTube, people have uploaded that. I don't know how they get away with it. It does look kind of aged.
It's the titles as well.
The aspect ratio, you know.
The titles as well, Stephen, and the graphic stuff. It would have been pretty ahead of its time then. But 30 years, it's not a long time in the grand scheme of things. Certainly in the timeline of the Beatles, but in terms of visuals and where we've went with TV and whatnot, it's a fucking eternity. So I would like to see them redo the graphic stuff, just the presentation, video, and obviously not all of that will be rejigged. The fact that, like you said, Peter Jackson is involved, see what he did with They Shall Not Grow Old. We're talking about centuries old footage, filling in gaps and frames and making it fluid. That was fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I think you can stretch this out into a wide shot and tart it up and make it more presentable for 2025 and modern audiences. And that's what I'm looking forward to, Steve. Not just the audio stuff and hearing Real Love reimagined and more sort of studio quality in terms of Lennon's vocals, but it's more repackaging what, for me, as I said previously, is the greatest fucking music documentary, band documentary ever released. Really unique the way it was presented. Just repackaging it on a visual level and getting to enjoy it.
Yeah.
What they did with Get Back, Stephen, with the rooftop stuff, where it was really clever. They had multi-shots and just packaged it in a way which was more appealing to younger and more modern audiences. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I can't wait, John. I'm just, excited. Just like I was the first time round it came out. You know, I think it was Sunday night on I don't know if it was ITV or something like that over here.
Channel
Just watching
5.
it over a couple of months, just and leading up to the music video, Freeze a Bird. Just the complete package from start to finish. And I'm glad they did it when they did, because it was only 6 years after the anthology came out we lost George, so it was the last sort of throw of the dice to do this. If it wasn't going to get done then, it would never have got done. So I'm glad they did it when they did.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And obviously, we're getting to that point, Stephen. I hate to broach it, but they're not getting any younger. I mean, Ringo is now, if I can have to do the maths, 85?
85, yeah.
Mac is 83. So they're getting into their mid-80s now, so you're getting to that dodgy period where obviously we could lose these incredible people. So you want to pick their brains without them rewriting history as much as possible and get as much input into things as humanly possible, because once they're gone, and the chance is lost. So thankfully, fucking Mac is just a force of nature guy, still fucking doing. I mean, I thought we were getting near the end 15 years ago when we seen him live. To be fair, I think we were with the voice.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to knock it. The guy's going out and giving people an experience. People who, much like us, get a chance to see a fucking Beatle in the flesh. It's always a special thing, so I'm not going to shit on. There's people I know say, why is he doing it? He's not got enough money. It's not about fucking money. No. He's rich. He's nearly a billionaire, if not a billionaire. He doesn't give a fuck about money. It's for the love of it. Fucking hell. He gets away with it. He's fucking Paul McCartney. He's better than Mick Jagger. But that's going to round it up, and that's not even controversial. He is better than Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger is a fucking shite dancer, and he's not even that good a singer either. And his fashion style is fucking horrendous. Get back and look at the 80s. He's wearing tights with American football jerseys and forgetting half the lyrics to his own songs. You wouldn't see Paul McCartney doing that. Not even high as a fucking kite. In the mid-70s, you would not do that. Professionalism. What's your thoughts, though, on the... I've been shitting on the Stones tonight, hardcore. What is your thoughts?
They're rolling pebbles.
Yeah, they're rolling the bottles.
Bonnie roll.
Your host for this evening are the Bottles. The Rolling Stones. What is your thoughts, though, on the upcoming anthology reimagining? The Bottles. Share your thoughts down below. What are you looking forward to? You're looking forward to seeing it on Disney Plus? Are you still subscribed to Disney Plus after that whole kerfuffle with Jimmy Kimmel and whatnot? I never gave up my subscription. I don't give a fucking shit about that. What's your thoughts? Share them down below. Anything we've discussed, the Beatles, anything at all, pop it down below in the comments section. Like the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to get notifications on the YouTube. To quote another individual on YouTube. The fuck is that you said, Stephen? Fucking Danny Marlin. The nick of this guy. The nick of that suit. Fucking hell. No wonder they kicked him off his own channel. Do the same thing. Do the same thing over on Twitch. Follow button, notifications button over there. And thank you to the comments. Thank you to Mike. I say the comments. There's only been one commenter, and we appreciate him for coming in and giving us something to sort of break the sort of structure with. Thank you very much, Mike. And until next time, what's left to be said really is thank you for watching us. And bye-bye.